Sandra Tsing Log, a humorist, an author, a radio performer, a radio personality. Her latest book is called The Madwoman in the Volvo and chronicles her entry, as every woman's entry, into that nightmare known as menopause.
The change, because you change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Yeah.
You
well,
did.
I changed, and you know, you're never prepared for what it's really like. And I think that, you know, we're sitting here in a warm family space, in a warm home, but I think there comes a point when, in a wife and mother's life, where you look around at the beautiful people in this home, you go, kind of like Carrie's, like, who are you, and why are you waiting for food for me to cut your sandwiches? And it's kind of a dark place. I kind of have to say it with a smile, because it's a daytime show. I think it's like, but it is really this moment where you go, I don't know what I'm doing here. I think for me it came on as like driving on the freeway, grocery shopping at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, which is the dark time for many working mothers, because we've been up since 6. And that 4 p.m. time in the afternoon, I see I'm getting you, so I'm going to direct it to you. So weirdly, scientifically, is when your glucose like drops, and it's kind of like that is your blood sugar is the lowest.
Yeah, you're going to trigger flashbacks. You know that you're triggering flashbacks.
And don't cut me off. I'm not telling you that's what happens. Okay, because we're talking here.
Right.
You're a man over there.
Sit over there.
Love you. You don't get it. But, you know, we'll rescue you at the end. But, you know, and you have to pick up the kids at, like, the car pickup. And then their little voices. My girls are 13 and 14. It's like, la, 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 la. All the YouTube stuff. And then you forgot to grocery shop. So it's the hungriest point in the day. And then you go to Costco. And you're just living for the samples. The samples, right? That's kind of like where I just feed myself on samples, because I figure it doesn't count if it's a sample at Costco, right? That's the body that I have today is due to samples at Costco. So it's really a time for mothers are supposed to hold it glued together and then feed the family dinner at 7. Are you kidding? There's no woman, I'm 53, there's no woman over the age of 45 who wants to sit and eat dinner at 7 o'clock with a bunch of people who are talking at us, right? It's really not fair. I want to eat dinner at 4 p.m. in a cave in Alaska by myself with a large flask of something I can't mention on the Hallmark channel, right? Okay? And then it's up to us. I'm sorry. I know this is the way it is. It's like, and we're supposed to be expected to feed America and home-cooked dinners off of organic vegetables we got at the farmer's market, because if we don't buy that, then the whole world economy is going to drop around us, because we moms didn't care quite enough. Right?
No, it's true.
I just have one more thing to say.
Okay, please.
Well, I'm sorry. And you know, they even have stuff on like little lunch bags, little plastic bags for lunch, and then they have like messages inside of like love messages you should leave your children and your husband in their lunch boxes. And the weirdest tip I ever saw, and then I will stop for a minute to have more Diet Coke, is like you're supposed to take a banana in the morning and take a toothpick and then write a little secret message that will not appear until lunch. Then the banana peel has turned brown, and then this love message appears. Love you. I mean, it's insane what they're asking moms to do.
You're making me relive my whole past.
I'm sorry, but you said you're better now.
I am better, but you're making me remember all of that stuff. And you're right about the 4 o'clock lull and then feeding the kids. And then after you finish dinner, they say, oh, by the way, I have a paper due tomorrow that you have to sit and help them with.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
And there's no time for actually mom. And in my mom's day and age, and that was in the 60s and 70s, like the moms didn't talk about it. They're just standing there in their Doris Day yellow apron, sort of cheerily drying the dishes, hello. And the next day they just started hurling the dishes. And nobody knew why. And then they went to their bedrooms and shut the door for hours, days. Like one friend of mine said her mom went to bed for years. It was in North Dakota and the winters are long, but still, it's kind of like they disappeared. So for us, we don't have that time to retreat from our kids, even though it's like kind of natural that mom's gonna shut her door for 2 hours, don't go in. We can't do that today.
No.
Well, what do you do to try to help yourself? What did you do to help yourself get through?
Well, at first I had like a year of total confusion, and I think that I was in perimenopause, which can last between 4 and 18 years and start in your 30s, so it's crazy. It can
Is that serious? Or are you joking?
No, I'm not.
True.
It's
really?
like, our hormones are going like this and that.
Wow.
So, and every day you get up, and then somebody says, are you missing a few periods? You could be in that time. And you go, oh, that's what's happening. But you're so forgetful that the next morning you wake up and go, why do I feel like this again? They go, because you're in that time. You go, oh, next morning. It's like Groundhog Day that you never remember that you're in this place and that you just need to calm down and lower your standards. And
while you were going through all of this craziness, did it ever affect you and your family, like your husband or your children, your behavior in a negative way?
Well, I think, it's kind of like this book, my memoir, it's kind of like a boots on the ground, as I say. It's like I blew up my marriage at the particular time. It's kind of like I was married, and there they are, my dears. And so it just upset my whole apple cart around 46, which is a time where men used to have midlife crises. They still do, but now women get to, because we also make money, and so we don't have to kind of stay married to my dad like my mother did for many years. So there's a lot of upheaval in my life. I mean, now that I'm through it, things are much better on the other side, but everything went in the air, everything.
Did it affect the relationships with your children? I mean, you're still close to them and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's better now because, again, in my mother's era, we didn't know, our moms were either perfect or they were gone, and there was nothing in the middle. But now it's like my children have seen me drive on the freeway and kind of collapse and yell a few obscenities in traffic, I'm sorry. And it's like, and so they've seen kind of the full range of me, but they're never shut out of my door, so they're always there. So in a way, they kind of one time I was crying and my older daughter was brushing my hair, sort of like a sparkle pony, and yeah, I get to take care of mom now for a minute.
Right.
And then I always come back and they feed me breakfast. So I think we do have a more open relationship with our kids now. And some people say our kids are more spoiled, but then they're also really communicative and kind of a little bit more grown up too. I find.
All right, well, we're going to bring our family in and let them interrupt you at this point, because I'm stepping out of the picture. So we'll have more when we come back. Don't go away. We're back with humorist and author Sandra Tsing Log, and her book, which is called The Madwoman and the Volvo, details the bumpy passage of what we just experienced here, a little bit of, I must say. I did.
About that?
I was, it's okay. Quite a journey that you've been on, but our family has jumped in, and our guests as well, because they are curious about things as well. We'll start.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned, you say you've missed a few periods, maybe you're in perimenopause. A lot of people I know, they say, oh, I totally have not missed my period. I'm not in perimenopause. But it's funny because I'm not sleeping at all. I've stopped sleeping. So I wake up 3 times a night to pee, and then I wake up. It's great how I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, dude, you're in perimenopause, even if you haven't missed your period.
No, totally. And I think I went on book tour, and everywhere I would go, it's kind of like hands up, women who have not slept through the night in 4 decades, even though you're only 30. And the hands go up. It's amazing. That's kind of the unknown secret of women just not sleeping. And
then it makes you crazy.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, sure, missing sleep.
And Facebooking, making muffins and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Why is this 40-year-old who's not in perimenopause on Facebook at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Right, exactly. Well,
exactly.
Maybe she has a baby. Maybe
you
don't sleep if you have a baby.
No, you don't.
But my question to you is it possible to get pregnant while you're in perimenopause? Is that even doable?
Question. Yeah.
That's pre-menopause, just for me.
Pre-menopause.
I'm odd man out here.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that could happen?
Well,
what I mean?
I think it's, it's mysterious how we get pregnant and not, for a while it's kind of like when you're nursing, you can't get pregnant, and that is my second child, who's now 13. So I think, you're spotting, I mean, we live in Los Angeles where there's a lot of fertility, that may kick in as early as in one's 30s. I think overall as women, we have so many conflicting messages. I grew up in the 70s, and it was a time of kind of okay, get your career first in your 30s. You can marry in your 40s, and if you want to have a baby in your 50s and 60s, you'll be fine because all the biology is there. So that was the message. I'm middle-aged, and then my daughters are getting a different message, and then and then some young women are going, gosh, if I'm 38, I'm trying to have a baby. That's way too late. I must have fertility treatments. I got to start at 32, but marry kind of my lesbian partner in college at 19, and then have a Cambodian child I adopt at 37, like Angelina Jolie, who I admire a lot, but tracking her, kind of there's a lot, I think there's a lot in conversation right now, with women.
Yeah. Like, what is the age between what and what does this happen?
Well, I think perimenopause can start again as early as in their 30s. Sometimes women are sort of emailing me at 34, and they go, or you know, and then sometimes women have said like, my grandmother's 90 and she still has hot flashes. So it's kind of a big window. You know, and it depends.
Do you have any advice for the man in the woman's life who's seeing this sort of thing?
Be patient.
Okay, so you know, she's never looked slimmer or younger or more well-rested, and like you're going to change the thermostat up and down and sideways.
Yeah.
They're kind of going to be one day she wants like ribs like we had and pie, and the next day if you offer it to her, she'll burst into tears. That's okay. So I think it's just kind of really a jumpy ride.
And when she says it's really hot in here, agree.
Yeah, immediately. Immediately.
It's really hot. It is hot here. Let me help you out with that.
Never look so slim in those white pajamas. The dental dam you're wearing to bed for some mysterious reason.
Jeanette, do you have a question?
Well, one of the things you had mentioned earlier, too, was about like sugar and alcohol and things like that, how you're craving it. But doesn't that actually make your symptoms stronger and worse? And so it's like you're going for it, but then
what did you ask? Okay, all right. Okay, it may, but you know what? I'm going to say no. I'm just going to be maybe the first person who will ever say, look, I think women have a lot on their plate. I think right now there's a statistic that today a full-time working mom spends more time with her kids per week than an average 1950s stay-at-home. Yeah. So I think the roles that we're wearing, we work more hours than men, we parent more hours than men, we're supposed to keep our home clean and cook those organic food, and then keep it say for date night for our husbands, ding, you know, step over those toddler toys, ding. So I just felt like when you're going through this passage, the passage that women go through, I mean, pregnancy, nursing, babies, we go through, we love you, a lot more than you guys will ever see. And so now we're given, in this really, big transition, another list of things not to do. So now, instead of having my Starbucks or my wine or my whatever Costco samples, it's now here's another list of doing the 8 glasses of water a day and the walking and the yoga stretches, and that's a good book to pick up and hurl through the window. And broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables are also good for hurling at the men who tell you to have them. I say no rules in this time. Yeah. If you want to stay in bed all weekend and look at shelter magazines, I'm sorry, I keep talking over you. That's what happens. Okay? I'll let you ask the question. I'm sorry.
No, because I wanted to have Christina step in on this, because there was a point actually when we were working together, and she said, just be glad that you have worked with me when I was going through the change. And I took that as a threat, actually, as a way. But do you agree with a lot of what's being said?
I agree. Now that I'm over on the other side, I'm a much happier, much more centered person. I wake up happy, I go to bed happy, and I work, I'm happy. But going through it, I was horrible. I actually did not like my children. I wanted to I wanted to kill my husband. If I could, there were things that were, that I just couldn't deal with on a daily basis. And I ate chocolate, and I would eat and overeat and go in my bedroom and cry. And I thought, wow, when is this going to end? But you do get through the other side. But look at Debbie's horrified.
I'm horrified.
Yeah. But the good news is that that's why they call it the change, because then you do change, but then you change.
But how long did this change happen? Is it like 1 year?
It took me 8 years to get through it.
8 years?
But some people, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Some people,
it's nothing. That's right.
Yeah. I think you just have to be aware of what's going on with your own body.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. The Madwoman and the Volvo.
Yeah.